If you want to take control of your finances and build a foundation for a financially free future, this video is for you. I'm going to share the exact steps I'm taking to manage my money in my 20s, build wealth, and set myself up for financial success. Before we dive in, I want to make it clear that this video is not financial advice. I'm sharing my personal experience as a 24-year-old and all the strategies that are working for me right now. Everyone's financial situation is different, so be sure to do your own research and consult a professional if needed. Right now, you can see today's chapters, all the things I want to cover in this video. Step number 1 is building an emergency fund. Guys, just listen to me here. The only thing that helped me when I move abroad by myself is my emergency fund, is the financial security that it gave me. The goal I had was building an emergency fund that was at least 3 to 6 months worth of my living expenses. And when I say living expenses, I don't include anything extravagant, like buying expensive presents for yourself, going on expensive vacations. No, for me, it was pretty simple. It was just rent, groceries, maybe some like bills, and stuff like that. Like very simple. And that emergency fund helped me so much when I moved to a new country. I think especially right now for so many people, it's extremely hard to build an emergency fund, but it's so important. Like one time I was going on a trip in Mexico and I broke a bone in my foot. Of course, I had to pay for everything, for an x-ray, for all the doctor's visits, and again, my emergency fund helped me because it was an emergency and I needed that money. For me, the biggest thing that helped me start building my emergency fund was cutting all the unnecessary expenses, because once I cut all of those unnecessary expenses, I could actually save that money. I could transfer that money to my emergency fund. And that's actually the second thing that helped me, actually having different accounts. One for my emergency fund, one for the money that I use. Because if everything is together, for me, I just don't see it. Like, where is my emergency fund? I need a bank account that is clearly labeled Veronika's emergency fund. Then I started taking it seriously. Automating this whole process really helps too. What I would do is I would just transfer money on the first of every single month. And I know there are so many different apps that can do that for you. You don't even have to worry about that. For me, I just liked doing it on the first of every single month because I like to analyze all of my expenses, my income in general, and so I would transfer the money to my emergency fund on that day too. It's crazy, but according to a report by the Federal Reserve, nearly 40% of Americans wouldn't be able to cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. $400 as an emergency expense is honestly like going to the hospital in certain countries. And when I broke my bone in Mexico, I needed my emergency fund to not rely on other people, to not sell anything, and to be able to go to the hospital and get all of those x-rays done. Okay, so now you're working on building your emergency fund. That's amazing. The next step, step number 2, is investing in yourself first. I know a lot of people talk about investing in the stock market. It's amazing, but I think that before you make enough money to be able to invest enough money and get enough returns, first you have to think about how you can invest in gaining skills, knowledge, and experience. Because when you're in your 20s, you're probably freshly out of college, and normally you don't have a lot of skills that people are willing to pay for. And so the biggest thing you have to do is identify those skills and acquire them, as many as you can. What skills can increase your income? What are employers and your clients willing to pay for? These are very important questions, so save them and answer them, please. I'm a huge believer in education. It doesn't have to be traditional education. It can be courses, it can be self-development things. As long as you're always learning something new and acquiring new skills, especially the skills that matter in the market right now. I can give you an example of how a few months ago I took a nutrition course from Cornell University. It was quite expensive, so I had to save my money to be able to afford that, and I actually had to wait a year to be able to afford that course, but I did. I saved enough money, I purchased the course, I took the course, it was amazing, I learned a lot of great things. Am I working as a nutritionist? No. But I thought that for me, that skill was necessary. It was beneficial. It was something that I could use when I was reading books about nutrition, all the knowledge. It was something that I could use when I record YouTube videos and talk about nutrition. For me, it's just very important to have this solid knowledge base when it comes to your work, when it comes to improving the skills connected to your work, and when it comes to improving just the way you work, making you more efficient. And this idea is not just something that I came up with. It's completely backed up by science. Research from the University of Illinois suggests that investing in education and skills training can increase lifetime earnings by 15 to 25%. And again, it's not about taking random courses and getting random education just for the sake of it. You know, there are some people who are like lifetime students. They're always learning and learning and learning, and their salary is not really increasing. It's all about knowing what education, what courses you need to take to improve your skills, the skills that you need to improve, and working on that. Step number 3 is reading the book, The Defining Decade. Even if you're not in your 20s, if you're in your 30s right now, I still recommend reading this book. The biggest thing that Meg Jay teaches us there is all about this concept of identity capital. It includes your skills, experiences, education, values, relationships, and even your personality traits. Essentially, identity capital is the combination of who you are and what you bring to the table in both personal and professional contexts. And the only way to work on improving your identity capital is exposing yourself to new experiences and new opportunities, something that I talked about in the previous step. And so one of the most important investments you can make in your 20s is in yourself. The reason why I talk about it so much in today's video is because I have seen so many videos on YouTube where people talk about investing in the stock market or in cryptocurrencies before investing in yourself. Yes, it's nice to invest your money when you actually have money. But when you're a student, a broke college student, freshly out of college, you literally don't even make enough money to build an emergency fund, how are you going to invest your money? So learning, taking courses, gaining skills, working your portfolio is something that will help you build this identity capital. And identity capital will turn into money. It will turn into increasing your lifetime income. And then once you start making more money, you should of course start investing your money wisely. Step number 4 is creating multiple income streams. I follow this rule because my job as a YouTuber, as a content creator, is not very stable. Sometimes my videos get a lot of views, sometimes my videos don't get a lot of views. And if I only rely on my money from AdSense, from the ads on YouTube, yeah, I'm not going to survive. So I need to build multiple income streams to feel secure in my job. In a lot of situations, just relying on one income stream is very risky. And I know what a lot of you guys might be thinking, especially those of you with more traditional jobs. You have an employer, you get your paycheck twice a month, and your question might be, okay, Veronika, if I have more than one income stream, it will mean that I have to work like 100 hours every single week. And I think I know where you're coming from, and my answer to that would be to work on your skills, right? That if you lose your job, if you get fired, you can still find another job quickly because you're always working on your identity capital. You're always working on your experiences, your skills, and you're always learning something new. In a way, this is going to be your additional, maybe not an income stream, but an additional security stream, if you know what I mean. For me, again, it's crucial to have multiple income streams because this way I actually have some financial stability. And I know that for people with less traditional jobs, oftentimes getting rich becomes easier than staying rich because they make a lot of money, they don't know what to do with all of this money, they don't have a lot of income streams, especially stable income streams. And that's it. Okay, step number 5, practice mindful spending. I'm not gonna tell you to be a minimalist and don't spend your money ever again. No, I know that for a lot of people it's not realistic, they don't wanna be minimalist, it's just not their lifestyle. What I am going to tell you though is to align your spendings with your values and your goals. This is crazy important. This concept about conscious spending isn't really about pinching pennies all the time and making sure you don't spend any money ever. No, it's about making sure that you spend money on the things that are truly important to you. And the things that are not important to you, you don't spend your money on. And maybe it sounds logical to you, but believe me, a lot of people spend their money, waste their money on a lot of unnecessary things they don't value and things that are not aligned with their long-term goals. Mindful spending especially becomes difficult once a person experiences a lifestyle inflation. What is lifestyle inflation? It's when you start making more money, and because you make more money, you start spending more money, or you start spending money on more expensive things because you make more money now. And you never actually ask yourself this question: is it a part of your value? Do you actually value what luxury brands are creating? Is it something that you're truly interested in, and that's why you're going to Prada and buying this expensive bag? Or are you doing that because everyone on the internet seems to be doing that, and you don't actually want to do it? If you really think about it, it's not a part of your long-term goals, and your long-term goal is actually to buy a house. And so focus on what truly makes you happy and spend your money this way. There are two techniques that can also help you to be more mindful when you spend your money. The first one is a very famous 50-30-20 rule. 50% goes to your needs, like your rent, utilities, car insurance, health insurance, things like that. 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to your savings or your investments. And the next technique is called the pay yourself first rule. Once you get your paycheck, the first thing you do is you transfer money to your emergency fund, you transfer money to your investments if you have any. Maybe you buy a course that you really wanted to buy that is aligned with your goals, that is going to help you improve your skills and help you get a better job. And only then you spend your money on all the other things you want to do. You buy new clothes, you buy new makeup, you go on vacations. Step number 6 is using your credit cards smart. Honestly, this step really depends on the culture of credit cards in your specific country and how credit cards generally work. Because I know that in the United States, for example, if you know how to use credit cards wisely, you can rack up points, you can travel this way, you can buy your flights this way, upgrade to business class this way. So it's an amazing thing to use credit cards in the United States. But I know that in other countries, it's just not as common, or you're not getting a lot of points for that. And so really, this tip really depends on where you are in the world and what the credit card system looks like. But in general, in most countries, I think that if your credit score is good, you can get better loan interest rates if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a car. And long term, a good credit score can save you a lot of money. A very important mindset shift when it comes to using credit cards is the money that you see, in your bank app you can spend every single month is not yours. You absolutely have to pay it off. And the people who do pay off their credit card consistently get to use all the benefits of having a credit card. All the points, access to lounges at the airport, a better credit score, and better interest rates. And so if you're absolutely bad with using credit cards, you don't pay them off on time, you treat this money as if it was yours, you never pay it off, maybe first you need to work on your financial habits in general before signing up for a credit card. So I think it's going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to continue watching more videos from me about my financial habits, I highly recommend this video right here. There I share 10 things I stopped buying to practice financial minimalism and save a lot of money. So click right here and keep on watching.